You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christine Nicholas, the chair of the New York State Tourism Advisory Council, and I would like to call this meeting to order, and it is now 11:04. Just as a reminder for those conferencing in, please place yourselves on mute to eliminate any background noise during the meeting. And I'd like to, if you want to say something, just feel free to unmute yourself and to speak. But welcome to the Capitol Center. First and foremost, I want to apologize for not being there. I was really looking forward to this, but I'm staying downstate in order to attend two related conferences. Right after this meeting, I have to head to the West Side for the Association for a Better New York, aka ABNY, which many of you know, where our president of ESD, Hope Knight, will be our keynote speaker. And then I'm heading to the annual meeting of the New York City Tourism and Conventions. And we were delighted to welcome the new CEO of NYC Tourism and Conventions, Julie Coker, to our January 2nd TAC meeting. And I think the strong relationship that we have with I Love New York and NYC Tourism under the leadership of Fred Dixon and Ross Levi is on the course to continue. And I look forward to updating TAC on the event at our next meeting. But in the meantime, we're so grateful to the team at the CAP Center for accommodating TAC. Can we call it the TAC Center today? But thank you for allowing us to host our meeting. And I'd like to introduce Shannon. Is it Legowski? Legowicz? Sorry, the general manager of the Albany Capitol Center. Shannon, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to welcome you all today. A little bit about the convention center. I won't keep you because I know you guys are on a good time schedule. Our doors opened in 2017. I was brought on the project 2 years prior for pre-operations and selling. I stepped into the general manager role in 2021, and we've been sort of rocking and rolling since then. The building on average does anywhere between 180 to 190 events a year. We have about 90 to 100,000 people that come through our doors annually. So far, economic impact is a little over 92 million back to the area. So we're very, very proud of that and looking forward to continuing to grow that. We're a multi-use, fully loaded facility that services everything from a birthday party to a convention to a trade show to sporting events, galas, and then some. So we can do a little bit of everything. So again, appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to touring you around once you guys are all settled up for the day. Thank you. Thanks. Enjoy.
Thank you, Shannon. Great. And with that, I will take attendance for those joining via video conference. I will call the names from the RSVP list that I have here. So on the Zoom, myself, George and Tim.
Here.
Dan Fuller. Okay. Barbara Lee Diamonstein-Spielvogel.
Here.
Thank you. Michael Oates.
Hello. Here.
Tim Stahl.
I'm here. Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody else on? Oh, David Filipiak.
I'm here. Thank you.
Excellent. Am I missing any of TAC members from Zoom. I think I have all the members. All right. And then the members in person, Natasha Caputo.
Here.
Excellent. Kelly Bizlowski.
Here.
Kelly, thank you. Olga Luz Tirado.
Here.
Excellent. Senator Serrano. Representative for Senator Serrano.
Yes, he is hopping on the call shortly.
Okay, thanks, Katie. Assembly Member Ron Kim.
Representative for him here.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and so outstanding, maybe I missed Catherine Nichols, Eleanor Tatum, Alana Petroselli, and Thurman Thomas. If they come on, let's just make note of it, please, for attendance. Okay. Let's see, I think I got,
Yeah, and Christine, maybe we'll just see if there's anybody else first on the Zoom who we didn't recognize, if you want to just introduce yourself.
Yes. Just unmute and Rich Gagliano, I see you, Rich.
Yep, Rich Gagliano from ESD is here.
Thanks, Rich.
Hello.
And then here in the room, if there's anybody, I know that we have some staff and others, so maybe we'll start over here if you didn't introduce yourself yet.
With I Love New York.
Hi, Jess Colbert with I Love New York. Hi, Sarah Emmer, I Love New York.
Bob Provost with the New York State Tourism Industry Association.
Ross Levi with I Love New York.
Rhiannon Edlund with I Love New York.
Brian Stratton, Director of the New York State Canal Corporation.
Bill Schweitzer, New York State Canal Corporation.
Tony Tsao from Assemblyman Ron Kim's office.
Zaya Hoffman from Ron Kim's office.
Mike Sullivan, New York State Canal Corporation.
Great. And I see on Zoom we're joined by Senator Serrano. Welcome, Senator.
Hello.
Okay. All right, if there are any others, Ross, just let me know, and we will add them to the minutes, please. Speaking of the minutes, all members have been emailed a copy of the minutes, and they're also available on the ESD website. Are there any changes to the minutes that TAC members would propose? Seeing and hearing none, I need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
That was Natasha.
Natasha Caputo, and do I have a second?
Second, David.
Okay, David. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you. So last week I attended the most recent meeting of the New York State America 250, the Commemoration Commission at Phillips Manor Hall, State's historic site in Yonkers. I was joined by Sarah Emmer from I Love New York. Thank you, Sarah, who was representing ESD while Ross was leading an I Love New York Canada sales mission, which you'll be hearing about shortly. The commission consists of 21 members appointed by the governor, the Senate president, Speaker of the Assembly, the minority leaders of the Senate and the Assembly, as well as ex officio state agency members, including myself, President and CEO of ESD Hope Knight, represented by Ross, and fellow TAC members, Catherine Nichols, and chair of the council, she's the chair of the Council of the Arts, and also Barbara Lee Diamondstein Spielvogel was newly appointed to TAC. So congratulations, Barbara Lee. And I look forward to working with you, not only on TAC, but also on the 250th commemoration. One of the main business items was the adoption of the Commission's strategic plan. The strategic plan, in a nutshell, it's to develop plans to promote and commemorate the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, coordinate and promote activities with local heritage, education, and civic organizations to preserve and promote the history of New York State. There were also a number of presentations, including one by I Love New York, which you will hear more about in a bit, on different aspects of the commemoration. The SUNY Maritime Museum president spoke about the role they will play for Sail 250, one of the big events that is being planned. It's now called Sail Forth, if you hear about that. There was a presentation on the Knox Trail by Lauren Roberts. And we also heard from the National Parks Conservation Association, as well as a presentation by PBS WMHT on the Ken Burns documentary that he's working on currently. And he's planning a screening in Albany and Saratoga in November. And I'll be meeting with his team in early April to work on additional screenings and promotions. And I think this was one of the highlights of the meetings because everybody who knows Ken Burns and knows the really the wonderful content that he puts out, mostly for PBS, but the level of detail and just the way they narrate it and with great interest, it's just always such a wonderful production. But he was, from what they told us, he was already shooting, he was ready to conclude, and he realized looking back that there wasn't enough about New York State and the pivotal role that New York State plays in the American Revolution. So he went back and he's reshooting, and that's what he's doing right now. And I can't wait to hear more about it. And I will share that with you at the next TAC meeting. Now I'd like to share some of the recent tourism-related announcements made by Governor Hochul. In January, Governor Hochul announced record visitation to state parks, historic sites, campgrounds, and trails operated by New York State Parks Office, with over 88 million visits in 2024. Visits to state-operated destinations grew by more than 4 million, a 5% increase year over year, and last year marked the 12th consecutive annual increase. These numbers reflect Governor Hochul's commitment to expanding access to parks and outdoor recreation, including investments during Parks' centennial celebration last year, and hosting a record-breaking viewing events at the 2024 Total Solar Eclipse and Free Learn It to Swim initiative. So the solar eclipse, I know our friend up in Oswego and other areas really, what a great job you did promoting that. In this year's budget, the governor proposed $200 million investment for state parks to aid the ongoing transformation of New York's flagship parks and support critical infrastructure projects throughout the park system. The governor also announced 2 free snowmobile weekends for all out-of-state and Canadian snowmobilers, our important neighbors to the north. New York State waived registration fees for out-of-state snowmobilers February 28th to March 2nd and March 7th through the 9th, encouraging visitors to explore more than 10,000 miles of snowmobile trails in New York State. These free snowmobiling weekends help boost tourism for state as well as local economies and reinforce New York's commitment to the industry. Additionally, New York State continues its commitment to snowmobile trail maintenance with grants to about 230 snowmobile clubs across the state, funded by snowmobile registration fees. In 2025, free fishing days were announced last month. There'll be 6 free fishing days this year, encouraging New Yorkers to get offline and get outside to enjoy these affordable outdoor recreation opportunities statewide. The first free fishing days took place during President's Weekend. The remaining days for 2025, so mark these down on your calendars, include June 28th and 29th, September 27th, which is National Hunting and Fishing Day, and November 11th, Veterans Day. During these days, the fishing license requirement is waived for freshwater fishing on New York waters. Governor Hochul also announced details of a major expansion of Metro North's railcar fleet, unveiling plans to add new trains that will provide New Haven Line service to Penn Station and 4 additional stations in the Bronx. In a first for North America, the passenger trains will use battery and electric-powered locomotives, offering clean, green, zero-emission service. 13 locomotives will be purchased by exercising an option on an existing contract with Siemens Mobility North America, which is already building 33 dual-mode locomotives for Metro North. These trains will help connect communities in the Bronx to Midtown Manhattan through faster and greener rail service. There was a $150 million investment to connect MacArthur Airport to Long Island Railroad's Ronkonkoma Station. This was with the proposed north terminal at MacArthur Airport, this will significantly improve accessibility and enhancing the region's transportation infrastructure. MacArthur Airport has long played a vital role in Suffolk County's transportation system, evolving from a military airfield in 1942 to being recognized as one of the best small airports in America. This latest investment reaffirms the state's commitment to improving infrastructure and expanding economic opportunities in the region. By improving connectivity and unlocking the potential of 48 acres of land surrounding the station, the project will drive further development and tourism growth. And we want to thank the governor for that investment in the transportation and parks and all things related to tourism. And that concludes my report now. Before handing it over to Ross, I'm happy to answer any questions, or we can do that during new business. Okay, Ross, I don't hear any questions or see any questions in the video. So I'm going to hand it over to you and thank you.
Great, thank you. Good to see everybody here in Albany. Thank you, and good to see everybody on the screen as always. We're excited to be moving around the state with TAC. We will be doing it again in September, getting up into the Finger Lakes, and we're excited to be at this great facility here today. So thanks for those who were able to join us in person, and we look forward to seeing you more. Of course, everybody in New York City in September, and then up further north. I got my months wrong.
You got your months wrong.
But that's all right. We'll go through dates after. I usually start my report talking about our consumer marketing activities, but we actually have had some really important things happening on the trade front. So I'm going to start with our travel trade work, headed by the amazing team. Folks know Heather McElhenney, Danae Persip-Jones, and Mark Lee Wilson, backed by our international reps in our overseas and Canadian markets. Working to bring us in contact with tour operators, travel agents, and travel journalists in important international markets. You'll remember at the last meeting I mentioned that I would be attending, and now I have attended, my first I Love New York sales mission as executive director. That was last week in Canada. And while our team has been planning that trip for months, it obviously was a very opportune moment to have a trade mission to Canada. I had the opportunity to lead 7 TPAs and attractions through both Montreal and Toronto over the course of 3 days, meeting with tour operators and travel agents. Now, this wasn't really kind of your typical hard sell type of sales mission. Our goal was as much about spreading goodwill and making that welcoming message from New York as it was about promoting immediate travel to New York State. In addition to talking about new attractions and events and commemorations that are available for travelers in New York, we were able to simply say, we love Canada. We are proud to have Canada as our northern neighbor, and as a state with hospitality and welcoming people as part of our DNA, we have the red carpet out for Canadian travelers who want to experience New York State. Overall, we presented to over 35 agents and operators, followed by dedicated one-on-one appointments. The mission also gave us the opportunity to meet with Canadian tourism industry counterparts, such as the Ontario Motor Coach Association and the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. So great to have that cross-border tourism connection as well. We were excited that many of our Canadian guests shared and expressed their enthusiasm for New York State as a destination and universally expressed their appreciation for our message and our outreach. So it felt like an exciting and important trip. It was great to have a strong delegation be able to go north of the border. We've also been busy down under for the unofficial start of the New Zealand and Australia tourism year with the annual February trade shows and events. We've attended those for a number of years, often through our reps. You'll remember I went last year. This year, Heather McElhenney traveled to Auckland, Wellington, Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne over 14 days. 5 cities, 14 days. A lot of hotel rooms, exhibiting at evening trade show events with agents and operators, and then at daytime sessions to hold one-on-one meetings with operators, and at Trav Media's IMM event to meet with media. So a lot of meeting, a lot of selling of New York. When all was said and done, Heather met with more than 1,000 operators and agents on the trade show floor, held approximately 25 one-on-one appointments with operators, and over 20 media appointments. We themed our presence this year around the 100th anniversary of the first publishing of The Great Gatsby, which happens next month. There's a lot of interest in this internationally, and especially in Australia and New Zealand. That was very well received, garnered a lot of interest, and also allowed us to talk not just about that, but also to expand with a literary and entertainment theme across New York. And our Australian office is now busy building follow-up meetings, full pitches, trainings, and product development with many of the contacts that we made there. So that's looking back. Looking forward, our team is also planning a European sales mission to the UK and Germany in late April, early May, which will bring us to London, Dublin, Frankfurt, Cologne, and Hamburg. We currently have 5 TPAs joining for the Germany portion and 3 for the UK, but there's some open spots still, so we're fleshing that out. These missions will include 5 days of meetings and New York State hosted events in the UK and 3 in Germany. Germany will also include a consumer event comprised of the top booking consumers of Canusa, Germany's largest tour operator and the #1 seller of New York State in that market. So we look forward to giving you a full recap of those missions at our May meeting, and we are optimistic and confident that that's going to be productive as well. So that's our trade work. Now, the consumer marketing work we've done. This spring, I Love New York's digital team, headed up by Anna Packman, is helping to execute a paid social campaign to promote visitation to New York City with a heavy emphasis on Broadway. Now, this campaign is targeted at residents in New York City suburbs to encourage travel into the city to enjoy a show and all that's available in the Big Apple. This is spurred by, as we've talked about at prior TAC meetings, the idea of having that opportunity there with folks in the nearby New York City markets to remember what an amazing experience they have right there in their own backyard. The team created a TikTok-style video showcasing an itinerary for a Broadway Plus trip that would include museums to visit, dinner suggestions, and where to score discounted show tickets. We collaborated with the popular show Sunset Boulevard to feature its star performer, Nicole Scherzinger, in our video. And the campaign was supported with a landing page on ilovenewyork.com/New York City, no spaces altogether, promoting discounts, new Broadway shows and restaurants, and itineraries highlighting New York City's hidden gems and things to do. The campaign is seeing a strong performance thus far, and it's running all the way to the end of the month to support the city's slower shoulder tourism season. This is a great time to travel to New York for people who live nearby because it's one of the few times a year that it's less crowded, that there's some good deals available. So we're excited for that campaign. Our popular New York Blooms report launches tomorrow, March 19th, for its second year, with 40 gardeners from around the state participating. And what they'll be doing is allowing us every Wednesday to have an updated report throughout the spring season that provides travelers with updates about where to visit to see peak blooming conditions for a number of different flowers, specifically magnolias, cherry blossoms, tulips, and lilacs. The Blooms report is available at ilovenewyork.com/blooms and features an interactive map. The report will also be highlighted on our social media and distributed through the I Love New York email newsletter. So kind of a way to maximize the attention we get with our fall foliage report in a new season. Last year was very successful. We knew that there was even more people that wanted to participate, so we're excited to launch that again. As some of you may remember, we are in the second year of a promotional partnership with Bassmaster to promote New York State as a top fishing destination. As part of this partnership, overseen by Sarah Emmert, we promote New York bass fishing to an audience of over 83 million fans that follow Bassmaster's live stream tournaments, as well as through their website and social media channels. They have a very dedicated following, so it's a great opportunity for us. Coverage from last year's content on Bassmaster platforms generated over 14 million impressions, and increased traffic to our fishing landing page by 130% year over year. Clearly, it pays to advertise. This year, we modified the partnership to build on some of the most successful parts of last year's campaign, including posts on Bassmaster's website and social media, sponsorship of New York Top Lakes editorial feature in their magazine, custom videos of elite anglers discussing their favorite New York State fishing spots, banner ads driving to ilovenewyork.com and fishing content on our website, and doubling TV coverage from 48 to 90 spots during live streamed fishing tournaments. Currently, we are on Fox Stream 1 streaming during tournaments with an updated 30-second spot. We'll play that for you now so you can take a look. Possible thanks to the EDA funding, the federal EDA funding that we've received to support the promotion of outdoor recreation in New York State. And as we've seen throughout the years, fishing is obviously a huge part of New York State's outdoor recreation economy, and this partnership leverages a nationally recognized fishing organization to reach even more potential travelers. And when you see that growth, 130% year over year, you know it's a good investment. So we're excited to be doing it for a second year. To talk about our segment marketing programs, Path Through History, as you may remember, and as Christine talked about, we sit on New York State's 250th Commemoration Committee. And while I was in Canada on the sales mission, Sarah Emmer attended the meeting to share an update on I Love New York's efforts surrounding the commemoration. Sarah highlighted the division's efforts to promote ways of experiencing the commemoration in New York State, work we've been doing to get ready for that. And most importantly, she walked the commission through the recently launched America 250 events page on ilovenewyork.com, which will serve as the tool for the public to find out about all the America 250 events happening across New York State. It is supplemented by the calendar at the State Education Department that may include more specialized academic events, but the I Love New York calendar is basically the public-facing calendar for America 250 here in New York. And now that calendar is live on ilovenewyork.com, eligible participants across the state can begin submitting events using an online form similar to the one we use for Path Through History Weekend. So those in the heritage community are already familiar with using it. Anyone will be able to, as long as they meet the criteria and the guidelines, will be able to submit those events. They'll appear on that calendar. Travelers interested in attending commemorative events will be able to search that calendar and filter by region, event type, and more. It will also be used by the I Love New York team ourselves as we look for content to promote in relation to the 250th, as well as populating other platforms such as our mobile app and the I Love New York kiosks at regional welcome centers across the state. So we hope, at least for I Love New York, it's kind of a one-stop shop, that once you have your event listed in there, you'll be across a number of different platforms and getting a lot of promotional mileage out of it. So you'll be hearing more, obviously, about that as we move forward. Under the leadership of Danae Jones, our first ever I Love New York Black Travel newsletter was officially launched in February. It went out to over 7,000 consumers who have signed up to receive these email updates, whether that's on our website or at the events where we've been out and have activated as part of this initiative. The first edition featured ideas for spring family getaways, events, and some fun facts relevant to Black culture in New York State. Seasonal newsletters will continue to be sent out each quarter. We also ran another social campaign for Black travel from mid-January through February that drove almost 70,000 users to the I Love New York Black travel site, accounting for 87% of the total traffic to that page. Again, advertising is a good thing. We also ran an ad promoting signups for the newsletter, which generated over 1,000 new emails that we'll be able to continue to market to on a quarterly basis. Our best performing ad had a 9.5 click-through rate and generated over 22,500 landing page views, proving that this is well worth the investment that we do. I Love New York LGBTQ has had a busy season. You're used to hearing about it during June, but it is in fact a year-round initiative, never more so than this year. Under the leadership of David Turley on our team, we've partnered on 2 LGBTQ ski weekends this winter. The second annual New York State Pride Ski Weekend was held in January at Bel Air Mountain. The event brought hundreds of participants to the Catskills and Hudson Valley for 3 days of events both on and off the mountain. A big thank you to our partners at Ulster County Tourism, ORDA, and Bel Air Mountain, and our community partners Big Gay Hudson Valley, the Capital Pride Center, and the LGBTQ Center in Kingston. The first ever Adirondack Winter Pride was held in Lake Placid earlier this month, co-hosted by I Love New York, ORDA, and Roost. From skiing and snowboarding to an exclusive skating party at the Miracle on Ice Arena, attendees got to enjoy all that Lake Placid has to offer in the winter while celebrating Pride. Attendees were encouraged to spend their downtime in Lake Placid to enjoy its many shops, bars, breweries, and restaurants, and the brand new Lake Placid Olympic Museum. We were lucky enough that it was still a winter wonderland up in Adirondacks. Winter is by no means over, with Mirror Lake frozen over, dog sledding occurring daily, and lots of snow to enjoy the slopes. The I Love New York mobile tour activated at both events, including with our I Love New York Pride sculpture and the LGBTQ-focused map trivia game. So we were very excited. This is the first year that we've had this many winter Pride events. They keep growing because people love them. We heard great feedback for the inaugural in the Adirondacks, so we expect this to only continue growing in future years. I Love New York LGBTQ also activated at the Travel, Trade, and Adventure Show's LGBTQ Pavilion at the Javits Center in January. This is the first time we've activated at that pavilion and at that show with a goal to educate LGBTQ travelers on destinations across New York State. The booth saw over 4,000 unique impressions and allowed us to grow our LGBTQ email list by collecting contacts through the photo booth that we have, that people love taking the picture with the sculpture. One attendee said that after engaging with our booth, he was interested in having his honeymoon in upstate New York after his August wedding. So we know we sold one trip even while we were there. The activation was prominently featured in an article published by the Gay City News, so that when we saw the coverage of the pavilion and of the show, we were kind of the lead image and the lead story. One quote called our booth the pavilion's literal heart. Get it? I heart and why. It was beautiful. So that was great. In the area of press relations and earned media, in late January, our PR reps MMGY escorted a group of 3 media on a winter wellness press trip, again coordinated by Danae Jones, to experience the Hudson Valley and the Catskills. The trip was designed with the goal to spark stories surrounding winter getaways for East Coast travelers and for outdoor enthusiasts and wellness seekers worldwide. The group experienced features of each region. So in the Catskills, it was the booming farm-to-table and craft beverage scene, and skiing on 2 of New York's iconic mountains, Hunter and Wyndham. So get to experience both get to experience skiing in the Catskills, in the Hudson Valley. In the Hudson Valley, they also visited the charming river towns while experiencing dining, both fine and relaxed. Main Street dotted with local shops and galleries, and an array of wellness activities such as spa treatments, cryotherapy, not 100% sure what that is, and a Pilates reformer class. So you get the idea. Slopes, wellness, a great press trip that we were able to expose and generate stories from. On behalf of I Love New York, MMGY also attended the annual IMM, the International Media Marketplace, at Javits Center in January 22nd to 23rd. Met with more than 20 journalists over 2 days, including Afar, Travel and Leisure, Forbes, National Geographic, Time Out New York, USA Travel, and the Toronto Star. Topics of interest included much of what we've been talking about today, including America 250, The Great Gatsby, the 100th anniversary of The Great Gatsby, and Black travel as well. Journalists also had an interest in undiscovered destinations and hidden gem experiences. We know journalists always love that. Looking to tell the untold stories of New York State to inspire travel. MMGY's attendance at IMM has already resulted in 1 story and 2 individual press trips, one to Ithaca and one to the Thousand Islands, which are currently in the planning process. So we know that that was a day well spent. The night prior to IMM, I Love New York partnered with the digital media company Map Happy on a Black travel mixer that they were hosting for out-of-town journalists. This provided us with an opportunity to network with and present to the 45 editors, diverse-owned media, influencers, and up-and-coming journalists that Map Happy invited to their event. Guests were able to learn more about New York State and our Black travel program through a virtual tour of New York State that I was able to do, Danae and I were able to do by theme, with select attractions relevant to each theme shared within that tour. Many attendees told us that they learned something new about travel in New York from the event, and we're very appreciative, and congrats to Danae for identifying and coordinating this innovative partnerships. First time we've done something like that. As mentioned earlier, this being the 100th anniversary of The Great Gatsby, one of the most iconic novels of the last century, and having taken place in Long Island Gold Coast, we think it's a great opportunity to engage the media on travel in New York. So in early April, specifically on the date that the novel was first released, 10 journalists will be invited to a special Gold Coast media event where they will have the opportunity to visit Long Island's Gilded Age attractions. We're taking them basically on a little tour of iconic gems like Old Westbury Gardens and the Vanderbilt Museum and Planetarium. And then the event will culminate with an intimate Gatsby Hour cocktail hour at Oheka Castle, another Gold Coast mansion, followed by a Gatsby-inspired dinner where TPAs from the Adirondacks, Long Island, Capital Saratoga, and the Hudson Valley, and the Thousand Islands are going to be able to come and speak about their Gilded Age attractions and programming, because in fact we have that running through New York State. I want to talk about our tourism industry support, most notably our funding. Market New York Round 14 was announced since our last TAC meeting. With those announcements, we saw close to 110 applications for funding requests of over 43 million. So as usual, this is a very competitive program. 43 million was sought for the 15 million that was available. We always have to turn away projects because of the amount of resources we have. But at the end of the day, 48 total projects were awarded. 10 of those are sort of capital construction projects, and 38 of those are working capital marketing projects. Just a few examples of the projects that were awarded in round 14. $875,000 was awarded to 4 America 250 working capital marketing projects. That includes the aforementioned Sail Forth, which is expected to be the largest tall ships flotilla in the history of mankind, sailing into New York Harbor on July 4th, 2026 as part of the 250 commemoration. There were 3 canals projects that were awarded a total of $410,000 to promote the upcoming Erie Canal Bicentennial, already in full force this year. 17 museum-based projects were awarded approximately $7.6 million. Other arts and culturally based projects received around $9 million for 21 projects, and Black Travel received approximately $2.32 million for 5 projects. If you want more information or want to see the full list of awardees, you can go to regionalcouncils.ny.gov. This is part of the overall Regional Economic Development Council initiative and the consolidated funding application, so we're excited to be able to support these tourism programs. Tourism matching funds is also underway, awarded to counties and regions across the state to help fund their tourism promotional projects. The program year 2025 applications closed in December of 2024, and 61 of the state's 62 counties are participating for the 2025 program year, and 9 out of 10 regions have received extra matching funds bonuses to execute regional marketing programs that complement those county-based projects that go on. Our tourism grants team, headed by Kelly Baccarizzo, ably assisted by Jenna and others there, are currently working with grantees to process matching fund payments, and counties have already been receiving their 2025 payments and hope to be getting those all out the door soon. Lastly, I want to mention that the Division of Tourism is always seeking to support the state's tourism industry by representing New York State at tourism industry events throughout the year. And the first quarter was a busy one for that. I attended both the quarterly meeting of the DMOs of New York State and the annual board retreat of the New York State Tourism Industry Association in New York City. That was held both in January, and Christine was able to join for the NYSTIA retreat as well. Sarah and I also attended NYSTA's advocacy conference that took place here in Albany in February, just next door, as a matter of fact. And we're preparing for a number of upcoming events, including the Museum Association of New York's annual conference in Ithaca and NYSTIA's annual tourism conference in Canandaigua, both coming up in April. So that work will continue. Do that. But that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
No questions for Ross? Okay. If that's the case, oh wait, do I see? Oh, good. I see Bob Provost is preparing his PowerPoint presentation. We're very happy to have Bob with us today. So Bob, if you want to take it away from here, welcome.
Certainly, thank you. And thank you for having me to represent our board, our membership, and our staff today, just to provide an update for you relative to what's been happening with NYSTIA since the last time we appeared at TAC, which was 5 years ago. We have, through a series of member and outside interviews, identified 5 years ago that one of the major problems with the industry was a lack of understanding of what tourism does, what it represents, and quite frankly, we had a brand issue. It was difficult to recruit workers to the industry. It was difficult and remains difficult to attract funding and support from other parts of the economic development sector because they do not understand what tourism does. That led 5 years ago, again, to a change in our mission statement. From a statement of function, we serve the industry through education, marketing programs, research, and legislative awareness, to a statement of purpose, which is we assist our members in using tourism to advance sustainable, responsible economic growth, create local jobs, support local businesses, increase tax revenues, and add vitality to our communities. With that came the redesign of our logo. And no, we were not trying to infringe on a copyright here. We actually incorporated the heart to represent the passion that our members have for their destination communities. It's a unique industry to see the commitment that the tourism executives have to their destination communities, to the attractions, and to the other constituent members of the industry. We also wanted to get out front there that we are tourism. We're not NYSTIA. This is all about the industry and what it can do. If you ask what the New York State tourism industry is, we say we're a member-driven, member-directed nonprofit at the vanguard of best practice tourism marketing, advocacy, stewardship, and long-term strategic thinking. That would be just kind of who are we? Not necessarily the full statement of what we do. You'll also note that in the bottom right corner of every one of these slides is our advocacy slogan. Tourism, it's everybody's business. This has been shared with our members across the state, 277 constituent organizations in all 62 counties. And what does it mean? It means that tourism affects every community and every resident in that community across the state of New York. What we also made clear to our members is talking points. I don't know what was on our website or talked about amongst our members with regard to how to talk about tourism, but we jumped on this very early. And as a matter of fact, a lot of this language went up in 2019. But essentially, tourism done right is when you recognize that tourism is not the goal. More tourism isn't the goal. It is the means to an end. And again, go back to the mission statement. More tourism means more jobs, more economic growth, more vitality in our communities. We took this message out on the road, and for the last 2.5 years, we've been very active. Just in the last 12 months, we had a full panel presentation at the New York State Economic Development Corporation annual meeting in Cooperstown. We were at the New York State Association of Towns meeting at the New York Marriott. We were at the New York State Association of Counties twice. We were in Sullivan County with a breakout session. They invited us back, and we gave the opening plenary session at their 100th anniversary meeting here in Albany. We also presented at the New York State Association of Training and Employment Professionals to talk about careers in tourism and the degree with which tourism supports jobs. If you look at the Empire State Development numbers and you do the math, just about 50 cents out of every visitor dollar spent results in money that lands in a paycheck locally. With that in mind, we also worked with Empire State Development to take the statistics that they make available by county and convert them into, advocacy talking points for our members to use locally to better understand the impact of tourism as a part of the visitor economy, as supporting local businesses, improving the standard of living, and also addressing quality of life across the state. In response to the question, is tourism truly a catalyst for increased vitality? At each of these presentations, we've shared research that demonstrates that a desirable tourism brand, together with tourism marketing outreach and visitation, supports the attraction of students for local colleges and universities, skilled and educated employees to the workforce, and actual new business investment and expansion. Ultimately, the true objective of tourism, yes, it's more heads and beds, always been talked about, but traditionally that meant in our hotels. What we're talking about is in our hotels, but also in our homes, that tourism done right will result in thriving, growing communities. And tourism done right happens by design, not default. We urge our colleagues at the New York State Association of Counties, the Association of Counties and Towns, as well as the Economic Development Council, to bring tourism to the table. Tourism should be part of the discussion when you're talking about economic development, and it can be a true catalyst for positive change. So we also ask the question at the end of every presentation, will your county, will your town, will your organization be a tourism success story? All of this advocacy work is being done in the midst of many other efforts that we have around not just New York State and the media world, but also we're on the road handling consumer travel shows. We, so far this year, have been in Chicago, we've been in Boston, we've been in Pennsylvania in 3 locations, we've been in Ottawa, we've been in Toronto, and we'll be in Montreal this coming weekend. We are supported by a truly talented and probably underpaid staff. I will admit that right up front, but we're very fortunate to have 3 very talented individuals working on behalf of our members. And if you'd like to learn more about tourism, feel free to join us in April in Canandaigua. And if you can't make Canandaigua in April on the lake there, join us in September. We'll be in Lake George.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. As everyone by now should be aware that from our previous TAC discussions, 2025 marks the bicentennial of the opening of the Erie Canal. We've asked Brian Stratton, Director of New York State Canal Corporation, to share more about that all the exciting activities that are being planned for that. So thank you, Brian, for joining us, and we look forward to your presentation.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you here today on behalf of the New York State Canal Corporation and our parent organization, the New York Power Authority. It's a pleasure to join with you, Ross, Senator Serrano, and Assemblyman Ron Kim and his staff. I'm joined by my colleagues from the Canal Corporation, Bill Schweitzer and Mike Sullivan. And we're happy to be here to tell you about 2025, a big year, 200 years since the Erie Canal opened, and it has never stopped, opened on October 25th, 1825. So this is the year that we need to fly the flag and to be proud about 200 years of our Erie Canal, and it's a fantastic year. So I am happy to be with you today to tell you about what we have underway for commemoration, to look at 200 years 57 locks, 16 lift bridges, and 524 miles of travel, navigation miles along the canal. And if you hurry between now and the end of our season, you can get them all done. Let's go on to the next slide, please. What I would like to go over with you today is tell you a little bit about Governor Hochul, who established the Erie Canal Bicentennial Commission, and it is my pleasure to serve on that commission along with the first gentleman, Bill Hochul. Tell you about another interactive bicentennial events calendar, and we're working with Ross and with Rich to link those two and to co-promote them both so we can find out what's going on. Big news that is forthcoming very, very soon. I can't reveal all of the details yet, but the New York State Lottery is going to get on board the excitement. A bicentennial license plate, still time to be able to show your enthusiasm for the Erie Canal and a customized Erie Canal bicentennial license plate. Big news coming from the World Canals Conference, and one of our early sponsors is Big Ditch Brewing. And what doesn't go well with canals than beer, ice cream, coffee, and other great things. So we're going to be talking about that. Stewart Shops is also going to be working with us on an exciting bicentennial ice cream flavor competition. We have a bicentennial poster. We're going to talk about the beginning of our navigation season. You all have cards on your desk that Bill has passed out, and please mark Friday, May 16th on your calendar for the opening day of the 201st navigation season. The World Canals Conference is also coming to Buffalo. This is a big opportunity. This is something that is held every year. It alternates between Europe and North America, and it was in Poland this past year. It will be coming to Buffalo September 21st through 25th. We're going to be talking about more on that. We have a gateway tour that we're going to lead up to the World Canals Conference, leading early arrivals on a America's Gateway tour from New York City all the way to Buffalo, really retracing that famous journey as immigrants arrived and made their way west. We have a great video coming at the end with a heads up to our technical crew. Hopefully the volume works. And we're also going to be talking about our culminating event, which will be 200 years to the day when the Erie Canal opened October 25th in New York City, October 26th in New York City, and that is going to feature a performance by the West Point Band. So let's go on to the next slide, please. The Bicentennial Commission, as I mentioned, familiar faces there. We have been meeting since early August of last year. First, Gentleman Hochul and I have been leading the commission, and we are joined by very important members of the governor's cabinet, and also have a tremendous role in our economic development and tourism world. Secretary of State Walter Mosley, Empire State Development President Hope Knight. Christine, I know you'll be with Hope later today. Please thank her for her service. And the Commissioner Pro Tem of the New York State Department of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Planning, Randy Simons. So we are moving forward quickly. This is a summary of what we have done so far. We're looking at the opportunity to create as many events as we can throughout the canal corridor between now and the end of the year. And some of them coming up include the Albany Symphony Orchestra, which is a fantastic ensemble, which you may recall in 2017 when we began to mark 200 years since the construction began for the canal. In 1817, the Albany Symphony Orchestra joined us on a whirlwind tour across the canal system. They are back, and they are planning a series of concerts throughout the July 4th week, and that concert series will be coming very, very soon. Here you see a beautiful image of the 2017 concert series that was held at Riverlink Park in Amsterdam. WMHT PBS, which we spoke of earlier, which we heard at the America 250 Commission last week, is also working on a documentary project for the Erie Canal, and that is going to be airing in segments beginning next month. So it'll be airing locally here in the capital region, but also on PBS member stations across the state, and will be made available nationally. And it will culminate with the full documentary shown at the World Canals Conference in Buffalo in September. So the commission really wants to maximize the opportunity for our events and for other agencies to be part of the bicentennial participation. As I mentioned, the New York Lottery is going to help us. Secretary Mosley, who oversees the New York State Commission on African American History, will also be working with that organization and the commission. And in September, the voyage of the replica Seneca Chief, which was the Erie Canal packet boat, canal boat that Governor DeWitt Clinton traveled on when the Erie Canal opened in 1825, will be getting underway with a journey to retrace those famous sailing voyages between Buffalo and New York Harbor, culminating with an event on October 26, 2025 at Pier 26 at Hudson River Park, New York City. We have a interactive calendar, and I want to show you that now, that is being hosted by our partners at the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor. And similar to the I Love New York calendar, this calendar you can also click on, navigate, and look at day by day, month by month. If you want to scroll down a little bit, Rhiannon, you can get an idea of what's in store and what's coming up in your region. And also you can add events to this, and we want to encourage every organization, every TAC member, and everyone along the canal corridor to be able to include their events in what's going on. Every day when I read my Google Clips, we see more and more events that are coming up, and we want to make sure that they get them on the calendar. So as I said earlier, Ross, Rich, and I are working to see if we can harness the power of our respective calendars to make sure that there's no stone unturned, that people know everything that is going on across the state. And it is a great year to visit New York State for all of our tourism attractions and to be part of the Erie Canal bicentennial. A little sneak peek at what is coming soon from the New York Lottery. You know that song that you all learned in school, 15 miles on the Erie Canal? Well, how about 15 million on the Erie Canal? It can happen. That gives you a taste of what's in store. And if we can get a mule to haul $15 million between Buffalo and Albany, I think that would be a great promotion. So stay tuned for more news coming from the New York Lottery on how to win big in our bicentennial year. There is a Erie Canal license plate that was launched recently by Commissioner Mark Schroeder and his team at the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles. It is available for purchase, emblazoned with this beautiful logo, which shows something very similar to the Seneca Chief traveling along the canal. Looks like they're going west to east, just like they did in 1825. You can not only get a number, but you could also customize your number. So Canal 1 is already taken, but you can also get some other creative opportunities to advertise and to support and to show your love for the Erie Canal. And every commemorative license plate purchase, $50 of that will go to support the Erie Canal Museum in Syracuse. So not only do you show your love for the canal, you can support the great Erie Canal Museum. So there is the URL. As I mentioned earlier, the Seneca Chief, and there it is there, along one of our canal stops, is going to be doing a cross-state journey launched from the World Canals Conference. We're going to be talking about that more. And one of the first sponsors on board is Big Ditch Brewing. If you are a Buffalo fan, if you travel to Western New York, Big Ditch is a tremendous component of our New York State microbrewing industries. And every one of their beers is named after the canal. Hay burner, excavator, Mike knows them all by name. We have sampled many of them only because we want to make sure we know these New York State products and how good they are. But Big Ditch is going to be joining the Seneca Chief. So you can follow the Seneca Chief and never have to go thirsty. So stay tuned for more from Big Ditch. Stewart's Ice Cream Shop. Stewart Shop's a staple here in the capital region, central New York, the Mohawk Valley, and slightly south, I think down to Kingston. 2 minutes remaining, speed it up, is giving us an ice cream flavor. We already have 5 finalists for the flavor name, minted in 1825, and you see the rest of them. They're all very creative and very, very tasty. Let's go on to the next slide, please. You remember the posters that we talked about, the eclipse posters that were created creatively by Ross and his team last year. Well, we have engaged Dr. Tyler Nordgren to create a special one for the Erie Canal Bicentennial, and we think that might be unveiled at the Museum Association Conference in Ithaca. So, beautiful opportunity to, again, get a poster. Let's look at the season opening, which is on your cards here. We're going to open on May 16th, which is a Friday, and we are going to extend the navigation season to November 3rd to make sure the people that are following the Seneca Chief have the opportunity to get back home before the canal closes. So there's an opportunity to join us in Waterford at Lock E2. And let's go on to the World Canals Conference. The World Canals Conference is a really big deal, and it comes to the Hyatt Regency Convention Center September 21st through 25th of this year. We are looking for sponsors. We are looking for registrants, and you can log on to WCC2025buffalo.com to get more information. Let's look at a quick video, and let's crank it up. Nobody. Log onto the website and you can play it at your convenience. It will be worth it. It's exciting, it's engaging, and it gives you a flavor of what's to come. So look at the exciting things that are going on, the scenes from Buffalo, and the opportunity for world inland waterway and canal managers from all over going to gather for 5 and 6 days and help to launch the Seneca Chief on its way to New York City for another wedding of the waters 200 years after the canal opened. What's Buffalo without chicken wings, right?
Hey, Casey, I just read your message, and it's quite concerning. I can't believe this guy, Gabriel or whatever. Is it the one that I met with and Judy?
George, your microphone is
George
open.
and Tim, please mute yourself.
There you go.
Yeah, no.
George.
This guy.
George and Tim.
Said that
Maybe we can text
room
them.
was not ready, blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
I said,
as
well,
I said,
as
here is
far
the
as I
Seneca
know,
Chief Tour. It's making
Kelsey
28
did tell me
stops
that,
across the state,
he was coming,
starting on
I know that
September
Kelsey emailed you
24th
guys
through
or reached out
October
to you guys
25th.
for,
Here are the stops
the
here.
approximate
There will
time
be
you didn't
demonstrations,
know.
onboard
So,
tours, and
second,
opportunities for the public to see this
good if we
fantastic
always have that
journey of
information
this
because,
historically accurate
and like right now,
Erie Canal line
she was
boat
upset,
Seneca Chief
and we could have
created by the
possibly,
Buffalo
maybe
Maritime
split
Center.
room.
Next slide, please. And then finally, culminating in New York City on October 26th, we will have the final celebration of the opening of the canal, serenaded by the world-famous West Point Band. And it's interesting to note, it's actually fabulous to note that the West Point Band, which was established in 1817, also played for Governor DeWitt Clinton aboard by the first Seneca Chief as it passed by West Point in 1825. So what's better than having the West Point Band come back to join us at that point. They were here in Albany and Troy last week. I got to hear them. They are a fabulous group, and we're looking forward to having them back. The final slide is the question slide, Madam Chair. We're happy to have questions answered, and thank you for the time that I ran over.
Oh, thank you, Brian. No, it was well worth it. Congratulations, and we're looking forward to celebrating together. I'm just sorry that the sound didn't work, but we will go on your website to check that out. Does anybody have any questions?
I Love New York is to be partners on this. We've been talking about this internationally with trade for years. We're continuing to find opportunities through our platforms to promote, and we know that's just going to ramp up as we get closer. So Brian and his team are doing amazing work, and we're thrilled that they're putting together such a great product for us to push. So thank you, and we look forward to continuing the partnership.
Thank you very much, Ross. We love the partnership. We are tremendously grateful for the long partnership that we have had with I Love New York and the New York State Tourism Industry Association and Bob and all of our partners in tourism across the state. It's an exciting year, and we are thrilled to be working with you on it.
Terrific. At this moment, I would like to open up the floor to any new business or sharing of events that may be taking place around the state that we should be aware of. Anybody? Okay, Ross, I can't really see. I only have a limited view. So if there's anyone,
okay.
I'll leave it to you to call on them.
Yep, no, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, our next meeting is going to be on May 20th at 11 a.m. back at the ESD New York City office. By the way, if you haven't been there, it is worth the trip. It is absolutely beautiful. They did a wonderful job, and it also has a timeline of the I Love New York campaign when it started. It's almost like a museum. It really is wonderful on the fourth floor. So I encourage you to attend. So I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
It's the 20th.
It is Tuesday, May 20th is the next meeting. Sorry, it's wrong on the
Wrong on the
agenda.
agenda.
Oh,
But it is right on your list of annual meetings. So,
Yes.
but to clarify, it is Wednesday, May 20th.
well, if
Tuesday,
it's,
I'm sorry, Tuesday, May 20th. Ugh.
so that's what we have. Is there a problem with the slide?
The printed agenda we have here has a wrong date.
Oh, okay. So in my
Slide is
remarks in the
correct.
slide, I have it correct. Okay.
Correct.
I think Senator would like to speak.
Okay,
Yes.
somebody wants to speak?
Yes, Senator Serrano?
Oh, very good. Senator?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I enjoyed this meeting. I just wanted to say thank you to ESD and Christine and Ross and all the folks who presented today. As chair of the Committee on Cultural Affairs, Parks and Tourism, I am very happy to work with my colleagues in government, in particular Assemblymember Ron Kim, in ensuring that we have a robust and vibrant tourism industry throughout New York State, insofar as the legislature can be helpful. I think back to 2009 when I sponsored and passed legislation making I Love New York the official state slogan. These are some of the small ways that I think we as a legislature can be helpful, in addition to having a budget that points to funding to help enhance and improve tourism throughout the state of New York. It is a major, I think, economic driver and economic engine for the city. Any money that's invested in the tourism industry, I think, pays back many, many times over, which is, I think, really important when you consider, all the different things that we have to put into this budget. And it's a very big budget. But this is one of the areas that I think we get a lot back out of it. Additionally, I'm very excited about parks tourism, parks and nature tourism, arts and cultural tourism, and of course, sports tourism. I live a couple of blocks from Yankee Stadium. I love that there's tremendous amounts of fans who come to a ball game, but I hope that they also avail themselves of other opportunities to visit restaurants and other venues and museums in the area. We have the new Hip Hop Museum not far from Yankee Stadium. And one of the other things that I think is interesting and should be sort of noteworthy is our architectural tourism. I live on the Grand Concourse in the Bronx, which has one of the largest assortments of Art Deco buildings anywhere outside of Miami Beach. And there's a constituency that cares about these things, that loves these things, that want to come to New York and be in New York so that they can be surrounded by all of the different, I think, usual tourism drivers. But there's so many other historical and academic as well issues that I think draw more and more people in. So again, very excited with the 250th year commemoration. Any way that I can continue to be supportive of the efforts of the TAC and in ways that we can help drive tourism and make the point that it is a thriving and very critical part of New York State, I'm more than happy to do so. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you so much, Senator. We really appreciate your support, your attendance, and your interest and willingness to be, if you will, a tour guide for the Bronx, one of my favorite boroughs. I'm not far from it myself, and I'm a Yankee fan. Okay, who isn't? I mean, we have great teams in New York. We also have the Mets, but there's so much going on in the Bronx, and I appreciate you mentioning about the architectural design, because that's not something that came to my mind, but of course it makes perfect sense. We think of the Bronx Zoo and the Botanic Garden and Arthur Avenue and the Hip Hop Museum and all of that, but it's always good. And I tell New Yorkers all the time, whether you're from New York City or you're from Seneca Falls or Buffalo, look up. You can see so much if you just, take a moment and look up. And New Yorkers downstate here, we are constantly looking down, but take a moment and look up. So thank you so much.
And Christine, if I could just add, yes. Thanks to our legislative chairs. When I'm out nationally and talking to colleagues, I don't take for granted, and that certainly reemphasizes that we're so lucky in New York to have a really strong consensus among our electeds about the importance of tourism. That's not always the case. Right. So to have strong champions in the legislature that are making the case for the importance for tourism, making sure it's well resourced, is very much appreciated. So thank you to the senator, thank you to the assembly member. We appreciate that partnership very much.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Ross. That is very meaningful. And, when it is so true, you can be from different sides of the aisle. But the one thing that I think everybody understands is the I Love New York logo, what it embodies, and what it means for our economy of New York State. It's so important. And I think everybody is on the same page, if you will, the same sides of the aisle when it comes to tourism. So it's a great equalizer. In fact, you being in Canada, of course, we appreciate that. And that was scheduled long before any of our issues. But our neighbors to the north are obviously always welcome to come to New York State, but we're going to have to give them some extra encouragement and assurances that New York isn't, New York and New State and New York City should be judged as New York State and New York City. So we have been longtime neighbors and friends to the Canadians, and I hope that the message resonated. And anytime we can reinforce it, that that coming to New York should not be something that brings them anything but joy. So, and on that note, if there are any other, if there are, is there anybody else? I obviously, Russ, I depend on you. I will adjourn the meeting.
I think we're okay here.
Okay. All right. I need a motion.
So moved.
Natasha moves.
Thank you. Second.
Olga seconds.
Okay. All right. Very good. And I am supposed to mention that it is 12:18. And thank you very much. And we will see you on May 20th. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
To be still.